Sponsored and promoted by Legit Paranormal.
Good evening. It is Wednesday, the 25th of January, 2023. Who'd you talk to? What's going on? It's King Michael, legitpodcast.com, legit paranormal news. I am King Michael.
I'm Dreamy David Barr. And here's...
David, first off, nice to have you.
Nice to be here, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Looking dapper. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thanks. Although I'm having a little issue. I'm kind of glitching. Kind of like, you know how people say, are we living in a simulation? I kind of feel like I'm in a simulation right now.
I wouldn't doubt it.
But it's good to be here.
Go right ahead with your top story.
All right, our top news story. We explore the question, do we have the ability to dream the future? So I'm going to hit you with a few quick examples of this. And this could be a story from Paranormal Sports there, Mike, and it might explain why you were so good with your picks in football this year.
Yep.
So we're going to flash back to 1993. Okay. Mission Viejo High School senior Michael Lee. He had no idea what to write with his photo to go with his in it for a senior picture in his school yearbook. So he ends up putting Chicago Cubs 2016 World Champions. You heard it here first. So remember, this is 1993. Forward to 2016, the Cubs end up winning the World Series, just like Lee predicted, and his yearbook picture and his quote started making the news. So they interviewed him, and when he was asked about it, Lee said, "It just came to me when I was a kid. I had a dream about it. It was pretty vivid, and that's why I remembered it all the way through high school." So now we're going to move on to The Secret History of Dreaming. It's a book by Robert Moss, and he researched Harriet Tubman, a conductor on the Underground Railroad. She led more than 300 slaves to freedom without losing a single one. She credits her dreams. So she had a head injury, and this kicked up her ability to dream. That's been known to happen sometimes. A recurring dream of following the North Star inspired her to flee north so that she herself could become free. Later, in other dreams, she could fly. And these dreams showed her all the routes which were okay to take along the Underground Railroad, and they also showed her which houses and barns were safe to stay at. Harriet also dreamed that President Lincoln would one day free the slaves. And 3 years later, in 1863, Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation, and her dream came true. And speaking of President Lincoln, he dreamed his own death without even realizing it. In March of 1865, Lincoln dreamed that he was following mourners through the White House. He asked the soldiers guarding the body who was dead. They told him that the president had been killed by an assassin. In April of 1865, he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. So imagine if he had been able to realize that he was the one being mourned in the dream. Maybe he could have prevented his assassination. Who knows? Now, in 1966, about 150 children and adults were killed when waste from a coal mine created a landslide that buried a school in South Wales in the UK. Psychiatrist John Baker visited the town and spoke to many of the residents. He realized that people, including some of the children that were killed, had mentioned having dreams and premonitions about the disaster. So Barker goes back to London, ends up advertising in a newspaper, asking anyone who had experienced a premonition before that landslide to send him a written account. He received 60 replies, 30 of which mentioned a dream of the disaster. Now on to someone that I actually know personally, Wanda Birch. In her book, She Who Dreams, she shares a dream about an encounter with a red Honda. Here's the dream. I am traveling to work in a snowstorm, and I approach a familiar bridge between two small towns. I see a red Honda coming from the opposite direction. The Honda suddenly skids into my path, slamming my car into the side of the bridge. I am injured. So Wanda, who is no stranger to working with her dreams, kind of had a feeling that this dream might come true. So she wrote it on a piece of paper and taped it to the dashboard of her car. Later that year, during a snowstorm, her dream began to play out. She was stopped at a red light, and she sees a red Honda approaching from the opposite side of the bridge. Her traffic light turns green, but she's like, hey, I think this might be my dream, so she stays stopped. The driver's behind her, getting really annoyed, slamming on the horns, but she doesn't move. And because of that, she watched as the red Honda skidded and fishtailed from one side of the bridge to the other and finally hit the other side of the bridge. Nobody was injured, and Wanda remained safe because she took action on the information that she received in the dream. So the next story I'm about to share is well known among members of the International Association for the Study of Dreams, and it's also documented in another book by Robert Moss called Dreaming True. So let's talk about Ed Butler. He worked at a Pioneer Aerospace company in New Jersey back in 1959. He had several dreams about a rocket fuel explosion in one of the labs, and in his dream, one of his coworkers, Rita Dwyer, was trapped by the explosion, engulfed in flames, and she was hidden by dense clouds of smoke created by the burning chemicals. Her colleagues evacuated, thinking they wouldn't be able to find and help her. In the dream, Ed had to navigate through the smoke and learn that he had to look for Rita's foot, which would be the only part of her that was visible. So the explosion ends up happening in waking life, and just like in his dreams, Rita's trapped. And again, just like in his dreams, he's able to find his way through the smoke. He looks for her foot, finds it, pulls her out of the lab, and gets her under a deluge shower to put out the flames and save his coworker. Now, Rita survives this whole thing because Ed remembered and acted on his dreams, and Ed referred to his dreams as rehearsals for that situation. Now, Rita herself was a scientist, and she had no interest in dreams until the accident. And she began to wonder if it was actually possible to dream the future. So she spends decades researching dreams, especially paying close attention to her own dream journals. Now, she finds occasional hits, including the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980. She also dreamed that a sore on her friend's leg needed immediate attention and had to be removed, which it did. Unfortunately, she also dreamt her father's terminal bout with cancer. Now, that was back in the 50s. We can flash forward to some more modern scientific studies. So we're going to talk about Dr. Julia Mossbridge and her studies on precognition and precognitive dreams. So like Rita Dwyer, Dr. Mossbridge, she's inspired by her own personal experiences. Throughout her life, there are many times where she felt compelled to do something, or she'd clearly seen some future events, either through dreams or flashes of knowing that some people refer to as downloads. As part of her research, Dr. Mossbridge led a team at Northeastern University. They analyzed 26 experiments in precognition and published over the last 32 years. Now, all of the experiments claim that human physiology could predict future important or emotional events. The team concluded that the human body goes through changes in advance of future important events, alerting our non-conscious minds seconds earlier to what likely is to happen. So participants' bodies in these studies show that changes were actually statistically reliable. They would do things like sweating before being shown an image of a gun, and less of that would happen if they were shown a picture of a flower. Now, these precognitive reactions happen too often to be scientifically simply considered chance. So science has established that precognition does exist. Now, we also know that our conscious minds have attentional limitations and have to filter data and information down to what it considers important. But it's believed that our unconscious minds are able to take in and process that other information. So modern neuroscience has determined that our minds are basically prediction machines, and our brains are constantly using the incoming data to predict what will happen next. It's kind of like a baseball player predicting where to swing that bat, hopefully hitting an incoming pitch. So now this is where things are going to get a little weird as we throw in some physics. Modern physicists don't agree if the simple flow of time exists.
Dave, I only have an associate's degree. Can I still continue?
What's that, Mike?
I only have an associate's degree. So
that's all right.
I'm allowed to still continue with this part of the story?
You'll be okay with this part of the story. I promise.
Right, go ahead.
So we have these physicists, right?
Physicists.
And they're trying to argue if the simple flow of time exists as we know it. And some of them don't agree. So in most physics equations, time can flow forwards or backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, our concept of time flowing in one direction exists because we believe that certain events cause other events. This is what's known as causality. So in our everyday experiences, it seems like the events in the past are the only things that are causing something to happen in the future. The cause always precedes the effect, right? We hear about that a lot, right, Mike? Cause and effect.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, 100%. Right. Now, okay. Couple questions. Can I ask them now, or do you have any more?
You can ask them now.
All right. Dreams. Some of us that don't dream. For those of us out there that just don't have dreams or don't remember our dreams, what can we do to remember our dreams?
So the first thing we have to do is stop telling ourselves that we don't remember our dreams, because our self-talk is extremely important. It's going to program our subconscious minds. So instead, we can say something like, I'm learning to remember my dreams, or I'm getting better at remembering my dreams. The other thing people want to do is start keeping a dream journal. That's also going to help build some recall. Even if you just remember a little snippet of a dream when you're waking up, write it down. You're showing that your dreams and your unconscious mind that you're paying attention. So soon you start to remember more and more. It's kind of like working out, some people start out, they're doing like 10 push-ups, and then they're building their muscles, and before they know it, they're doing 50.
I think the big thing too is the journal, because if you've ever done something where you've had to write down what you do and tracked it, once you start to do that part of it, it's real. Does that make sense? That the minute you put it down and you have to put the work of 10 today, 20 today, you know what I mean? Once you start doing that, it's real. It's official. It's in a dream journal. It's in a journal. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Right. So you're bringing it from, the dreams and the unconscious, and you're taking those words and events and you're bringing them into waking reality by writing them down. That's what you're saying, right, Mike?
Yes.
All right, cool.
You make it so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. You make it so. Like if you put it down on paper, then it's actually real. I guess what you're also saying is, from all this, is to be positive. That seems to be a prevalent thing. And also, precognition. It's best to lean into it. Like, in other words, those feelings you get, like if you get a bad feeling, you're in a place, like lean into that more, trust it more, like develop that more too. I think. I don't know. What do I know? I only work here. You tell me.
The research is showing that we need to trust those feelings more. I think it's something that our culture used to do, but we've kind of gotten away from it. We easily dismiss things like that. Oh, I would just kind of like a feeling, or, my gut was a little rumbly, and they're just easy to dismiss that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas before, people will be like, "Hey, something's going on here. Why is my body doing this?"
Yeah. Well, because now nobody wants to admit that things out loud anymore. It's actually gotten weirder, in my opinion. Now that we know that there's UFOs, it seems like talking about stuff is getting weirder. Like when you say that out loud, now that gets a little, But I hold on a second. So let me just get. I'm sorry. I don't
No,
know.
it's the crew.
If you're dealing with what
They
I'm dealing
start
with,
goofing around back there.
they keep pushing. I'll get to it. So David, really quick. Other dream questions before I wrap it up because I gotta go to a clip, I guess. Dreams. These people that had these premonitions. I hate when there's articles about people that know how they're gonna die and then go to a place that's exactly the place that they know they're gonna die. I'm not saying Lincoln had it that it was him 100%, but I bet he had that feeling it was him, and I don't understand that logic. If I have a dream that I went to Taco Bell and died there, and I had that dream and I woke up and it was like a real it moved me type of dream, like it moved Lincoln, Dave, I would not go to a Taco Bell.
I'm with you, Mike. And I think he kind of had a feeling something was up, and he had some other dreams too. But I just think he ran out of time to put 2 and 2 together.
Oh yeah, it's like putting 2 and 3. Put 2 and 4. Whatever it goes together in my book. So David, at legitpodcast.com, we are sponsored by highharvest.net. That's a local company, licensed nurse caregiver. Also, though, we are now being sponsored by this I guess it's a puppet show. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but they have a clip for us. I guess we're gonna roll to one of their clips for the news. I don't know what it is, but let's roll to that now.
Hey, how's everybody doing? It's me, Little Tommy Toes. Did you miss me? So anyways, guy, I'm just hanging out here at the set. I don't even know where everybody is, guy. I thought they would all be here tonight on a Sunday. I don't know. Vinny! How you doing, Tommy? Vinny! Hold on. Hey, how you doing? It's me, Vinny the Cop. You know, roommates with little Tommy Tools. Vinny the Cop. So anyways, how you doing, Tommy? Doing pretty good, Vinny. Doing pretty good. Hey, so how you doing with the puppet baseball team? I know you've been you're like what, the general manager or something like that, guy? Yeah, I'm the general manager of the puppet baseball team. It's been a fun season, you know. A lot of crazy, peculiar type names these guys have nowadays. You mean like funny names? Nicknames. Now, on the puppet team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third. Yeah, that's what I want to find out, guy. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the puppet team, guy. I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third. Do you know the guys' names on the team, guy? Yes. Well, then who's playing first? Yes. I mean, the fella's name on first. Who? The fella playing first base. Who? The guy on first. Who is on first? Well, what are you asking me for, guy? I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Who is on first? I'm asking you, guy. Who's on first? That's the man's name. That's whose name, guy? Yes. When you pay a first baseman every month, who gets the money? Every drop of it. And why not? The man's entitled to it. Who is? Yes. So who gets it? Why shouldn't he? Sometimes his wife comes down and collects it. Whose wife? Yes. After all, the man earns it. Who does? Absolutely. All I'm trying to find out is what's the guy's name on first? No. What is on second? I'm not asking you who's on second. Who is on first? Guy, do the puppets have an outfield? Oh, absolutely. The left fielder's name? Why? I don't know. I just thought I'd ask. Well, I just thought I'd tell you. Then tell me who's playing left field. Who's playing first? Stay out of the infield, guy. The left fielder's name? Why? Because. Oh, he's center field. Wait a minute, guy. Wait a minute. You gonna pitch on this team? Wouldn't this be a fine team without a pitcher? Tell me the pitcher's name tomorrow. Okay, guy, listen. Now, say when the guy at bat bunts the ball, and me being a good catcher, I want to throw the guy out at first base. So I pick the ball up and I throw it to who? Now that's the first thing you've said right. I don't even know what I'm talking about, guy. Don't get excited. Take it easy. I throw the ball at first base. Whoever it is, guy grabs the ball. So the guy runs to second. Who picks up the ball and throws it to what? What throws it? I don't know. Throws it back at tomorrow. A triple play. Yeah, it could be. Another guy gets up and it's a long ball to center. Because. Why? I don't know, and I don't care. What was that? I said I don't care, guy. Oh, that's our shortstop. Thank you. Thank you, guy.
I don't know what to tell you, Dave. Puppets, you're gonna, okay. I said in the meeting beforehand. Dave, did I not? Okay.
You
so
did.
Dave, please continue with your story.
All right. Although I think the puppets got some good feedback there, Mike, and that's why they ended up getting their own segment again.
Yeah, they're they're out of control.
All right, so we're talking about causality, right?
Yep.
Something in the past causes something to happen in the future, cause and effect. So now we got some experts, they're arguing that if causality does exist, this is where it gets weird, future events can cause things in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And scientists, they're having all these arguments. They're realizing that we don't really have a clear grasp on the rules of time.
Yep.
In fact, there's some indigenous cultures who believe in something called the all at one time, that everything has happened all at once, and that time is our way of processing and making sense of all these events.
Yeah, I would say, people can't think without thinking linear. They also can't think without going left to right. If you make somebody even read right to left, they shut down. I've seen people's brains shut down from that. So everybody wants to make things linear. It's going forward. It's going this way, like left to right. It's going that way. Well, why couldn't it be coming back the other way? Why couldn't it be going straight up? Why does it have to go just left to right? That's always been my issue with time, with everything. Like, that's where I guess my brain is at. Why I'm so weird. Why is it just going to be linear? You know what I'm saying?
Right. So now they're thinking that precognition could be a form of mental time travel, is what they're calling it.
Okay, there it is.
And I'm not even going to get started on consciousness because we don't really understand consciousness.
Oh.
So we can take a look at some of Dr. Mossberg's other research.
Yep.
She found that other people have also experienced precognition in their dreams. She had a woman dream of being attacked by a dog, and then almost that exact scenario played out in real life.
Oh.
Another woman from one of her studies dreamt that her friend won $500, and the next day, her friend's wife won that exact amount at bingo.
That's a random amount of money.
Yeah. And she's believing that one day we could even have something what she calls the precog economy, where we have people that are really dialed into precognition, and they're being hired by like corporations to assess and predict trends. Maybe some law enforcement will consult what she calls precogs, who'll be able to predict future locations for missing people and for suspects in crimes. So from all the things that I read, scientists have concluded that some people, they're guessing about 15 to 33% of the population experiences precognitive dreams in their lifetime. So we have up to a third of the population that has dreamt the future at some point. Now, I personally think that we can get that number higher by doing some of the things we already talked about. If people pay more attention to their dreams, take them a little more seriously, if they build their dream recall, if they start keeping their dream journals. And I think that we can use these kind of dreams to avoid catastrophes and create a better future for ourselves. And now, Mike, you've talked about having a massive database of paranormal footage that anyone can access. You know, you believe in sharing this information, letting people analyze it,
100%,
making their own conclusions, helping each other out. So what 100%. If we did that with dreams? Say we had a big database of dreams, right? And maybe anybody can go in and log their dreams. Now, maybe there's an algorithm that's looking for like repeated scenarios or repeated words. And then these things can get flagged and researched. You know, I personally know people that have dreamt of natural disasters. I know someone that dreamt the Challenger explosion in 1986. I know someone that dreamt the terrorist attacks on 9/11. So what if we could use precognitive dreams to maybe prevent these things? And if we can't prevent them, what if we can minimize the damage or the death and the casualties from all this stuff?
Dave, I think the issue there is the people that have any kind of precognitive skills may not want other people to know their dreams. Like, I know that I don't want anyone to know my dreams because they're my dreams, and, you know, that's what I dream. So I don't know if I could share my dreams with someone. You know what I'm trying to tell you? Like, I think...
No, I totally get that.
Right, but when you're someone like me, an Italian, we shut down the minute we hear share our dreams. Like, that's our last thing we've got left. Oh, my God. See what I mean? The thing's going crazy on me. That's the last thing we got left is our dreams. I don't want to share those too. Does that make sense?
So we can address that, though. People can share them anonymously. No one has to really know who's submitting the dream, right?
Yeah, but it's still being recorded by the same system, right?
What's that?
How are we recording the dreams? Just by the journals?
People can just type them in and submit them to a form.
All right, yeah, because I'm worried. I'm always worried about being tracked. I don't know. Maybe you're not.
That is a
maybe
concern.
I don't know. I don't know why anyone would want to track me. I got a package in the mail the other day, and it was to King Michael, and I was like, well, why would they send that name mail? I opened it, and it was a paint by number set. And I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was. And I was just like, didn't open it. And then yesterday, one of our cohorts, Buddy Money there, who'll be doing the sports later, he texts me and he says, did you get any mail? And I'm like, you mean email? And he's like, no, regular mail. And I'm like, oh, all right. I'm like, yeah, I got a paint by number set. I said, but I didn't open it. And he's like, oh, you got to open it. And it's like a yay big paint by number of his face, that face that I use sometimes. So now I got to paint his face. Like, I can't not paint this and make it look, you know. But the thing is, I was telling my wife, when we do it, I want to Picasso it. I want to take the colors they tell me to and go the opposite. I want a buddy that's, you know, like I don't know how to say, not Andy Warhol, but like, you know, a little different. Dave, any more to wrap up on that story, or can I kick it over to I'm getting word we have somebody in the field.
That's it for me, Mike.
All right. Thank you, David. We're going to be kicking it over now to joining us, Gene, Jet Fuel Broider. Gene, how are we? And your microphone is muted. I'll let you know when it's not. Now you're on mute.
Not for long.
How are we, Gene?
Hey, 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 Jet Fuel Gene reporting for duty from the field, which is vast and expansive. How's everybody?
Doing good.
Good. How are you, Gene?
Doing great. Thought we'd pick up where we left off last week, talking about the whopping 11-page report the Pentagon issued on UAPs. Think UFOs. They've renamed them to confuse people, but we know what they're talking about. And I'm going to share this again if that's cool with you. We cool? Taking over. Taking over, I hope. Well, I'm experiencing technical difficulties. Can you hear me?
Mike, you're on mute.
Have I been on mute the whole time?
Yes.
And it's the first time you said something, Dave? HR. Seriously, we gotta have a meeting. He didn't even tell me I was on mute.
I wasn't sure if you were yelling at the
On mute.
staff or not.
I digress. Gene,
I'm carrying on here.
are you ready with your story?
I am ready. So last week we talked about the whopping 11-page unclassified from the Pentagon Office of the Director of National Intelligence 2022 annual report on unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP to you and me, because we can't get enough acronym soup. Okay, so this whopping 11-page report basically says we, the government agencies, are going to make more committees to study UAPs, UFOs, as if in 70 years of cover-ups, they know nothing about the phenomenon. They're just going to start from scratch. They've got like 500 official reports they're looking into, right? It's just such malarkey. It's as if these people on these federal committees and these military committees never talk to any serious researcher or reporter such as myself. And I'm minor league. There are pundits in the field. There are genuine bona fide famous experts, infamous experts, and lesser known experts. We're all experts. We all know way more than any of these people, apparently. How do they get these jobs, and where can I get this job? In any event, the report in all of its 11 pages states 3 times we're going to make more committees, and these committees, we promise, will operate together. They will coordinate their efforts at taxpayer expense, of course. The official statement came from the press secretary of the Pentagon and he's referring to a section of this report that has to do with continued reporting and robust analysis are providing better fidelity on UAP events, but many cases remain unsolved. And then there's a section on flight safety concerns and health implications, and that's what I want to talk about today. According to the Pentagon, and I'm reading right from this unclassified document under flight safety concerns and health implications, UAP, think UFO, pose a safety of flight and collision hazard to air assets. What are air assets? Those are things that the military owns or our government owns that propel themselves or hang out in the air. Those would be airplanes, helicopters, even missiles. Okay, perhaps even low flying satellites. I'm not sure. There are undoubtedly official definitions of all these things, but these air assets are presented as a reason to distrust this UAP phenomenon and put it into the category of defending national security and our airspace. So here's the justification. UAP pose a safety of flight and collision hazard to air assets, potentially requiring aircraft operators to adjust flight patterns in response to their unauthorized presence in the airspace. They're playing dodge 'em, okay? Dodgeball, basically, that they have to veer up our our people have to veer off course to avoid colliding with these things. I think it's hilarious. I'm sure it would be frightening if you were up there in the air asset experiencing this, of course. They are these UAPs, how dare they operate outside of air traffic control standards and instruction. And this is really what it's about. The UAP don't take instruction from any world government. They are beyond world government and they have superior technology. Therefore, our military and other militaries in the world regard these as threats. Even though there has been, according to the same report in another section, there has been no overt threat or threatening action from any UAP that this committee at least knows about. And in last week's show, I mentioned that the threats are only defensive, or aggression on the parts of UAP are typically, not always, but typically in response to being attacked first. In any event, regarding health concerns, there have been no encounters, this is the critical part, no encounters with UAP confirmed to contribute directly to adverse health-related effects to the observers. That's just patently wrong. Acknowledging that health-related effects may appear at any time after an event occurs, an official organization that's tracking, another acronym in acronym soup that they've invented with this new task force to study UAPs. AARO, AARO, will track any reported health implications related to UAP should they emerge. Well, I got one for you, buddies, over there at in the communications intelligence community of the United States. We have the case, and it's a landmark case of Airman First Class John Burroughs. This gentleman had the exciting misfortune to be one of the hands-on responders in the Rendlesham Forest case. It's a very famous case out of Britain, and it's incredible that many people around the world have never heard of this case. I wrote about this many times, and I'm going to read to you from my report January 1st, so New Year's Day, 2019. 3 years ago, I wrote a two-parter, and the title of this lawsuit proves Rendlesham UFO case. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do need to set the context here. So, the famous Rendlesham Forest UFO event has been covered extensively by many qualified and credible researchers. There is so much evidence that supports testimony given by multiple eyewitnesses. The Rendlesham Forest incident began with a series of reported sightings of unexplained lights in Rendlesham Forest, Suffolk, England, that's a county in England, in late December 1980, just outside Royal Air Force Base Woodbridge, used at the time in 1980 by the U.S. Air Force. So we have U.S. airmen and women stationed at RAF, that's British, Woodbridge Base in Britain. Okay, so events unfolded near two former military bases. One of them was RAF Bentwaters, which is north of Rendlesham Forest. The other was RAF Woodbridge, which extends into the forest from the west and is bounded by the forest on its northern and eastern edges. And when you look at a map, it's very clear how these two bases relate to the forest, their boundaries. The bases bound most of the forest. And so this event occurred in the forest over the course of 3 nights from December 26th through December 28th, 1980. U.S. military personnel were stationed at both bases at the time. Wing Commander Colonel Gordon E. Williams was responsible for both bases. Colonel Ted Conrad was base commander, and Lieutenant Colonel Charles I. Halt was his deputy. Halt's firsthand account of his experiences leading a team to investigate the strange lights spotted visually and on radar during the second night of sightings are detailed and convincing. Lieutenant Colonel Halt submitted an official military memo with his incredible testimony. At about 3 a.m. on December 26th, a security patrol near the east gate of RAF Woodbridge saw, and I quote, a strange glowing object, metallic in appearance with colored lights, unquote, frenzied nearby farm animals, and a landed craft that left 3 impressions or depressions in the ground that were visible the next day. So they had a unit go out and check this out in daylight. This all happened in the night, 3 a.m. They went out when they could see, and they made more observations. Sergeant James Peniston said he walked up to the UFO and touched its warm surface and copied the numerous symbols on its body, which were described later as hieroglyphics, and you can find them in the literature transcribed if you care to. Okay, after midnight, 2 nights later, Halt led several servicemen with radiation detectors back to the same spot. The group of trained observers saw more strange lights. This is 2 nights later. Halt later submitted a tape recording he made on the scene, and I've heard that, and an affidavit to his commanders in addition to his memo, quoting Halt, I believe the objects that I saw at close quarter were extraterrestrial in origin, and that the security services of both the United Kingdom and the United States have attempted, both then and now, to subvert the significance of what occurred at Rendlesham Forest and RAF Bentwaters by the use of well-practiced methods of disinformation. Okay, skipping ahead a little bit. U.S. Air Force police officer John Burroughs was stationed at Bentwaters, and he too was part of the investigative squad led by Lieutenant Colonel Halt. Both Burroughs and Peniston walked right up to the glowing object that lit up the forest gloom. Burroughs developed congestive heart failure. Here's our tie-in to UAPs, UFOs, and health consequences. Burroughs maintained that he did develop congestive heart failure after the incident, and he attributed his health condition to radiation poisoning from close proximity to the UFO. A British Ministry of Defense document confirmed this theory that radiation from UFOs can cause health problems. This is landmark right here, okay? Now, wrapping this up, with the help, here's the good news, with the help of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, our good friends at the VA, and U.S. Senator John McCain, with the help of his office, Burroughs won a lawsuit in 2015 that claimed the veteran's medical condition was the direct result of exposure to UFO radiation. He was granted full medical disability. And Burroughs issued a press release that's documented. None of this is made up. This is all well documented. The court case is entered into the official legal record. This is not voodoo. This is not woo-woo. This is the facts, Jack and Jill. Burroughs' press release, which was titled U.S. Government's De facto Acknowledgement of the Existence of UFOs, underscored the ufological significance of this landmark legal decision. And I quote the Burroughs press release. In January of 2015, after years of exhaustive efforts, the VA settled in full with me. I needed someone to champion my cause, someone not afraid to put themselves at risk to help me. I was lucky. I found 2 to champion my cause. My attorney, Pat Frascogna, and Senator John McCain and his staff. Through their efforts, I received life-saving heart surgery to replace a badly shredded anterior mitral valve caused by the UAP radiation, and a settlement from the DoD, that's Department of Defense, and VA, Veterans Administration, admitting that's Burroughs, was injured in the line of duty in December of 1980. So 35 years later, Mr. Burroughs got his settlement for medical disability, got life-saving treatment. Thank our lucky stars that sanity prevailed at last.
Wow.
Back to you, King Michael.
That's
And Dreamy
Wow.
David Barr.
That is why we call a jet fuel Gene Broider. Let me just touch upon two parts of that. When you said interior mitral valve, I realized that it could be a made-up word, and I don't know. Dave, did you feel like that when you heard that? Did you go, I don't know what that is, but that's
No.
part of the heart.
It's anterior versus posterior, front versus back,
No, I
and
didn't.
mitral versus ventricular. And the one pushes blood, the other sucks blood.
Yeah, those are
There you
words
go.
they're not on my Scrabble board.
Yeah, well, I'm a Scrabble champ, so
Yeah,
stick with me, bud. Stick
I
with
get.
me.
I'm starting to get that. The other one was, I actually like manlark over landmark.
Do you?
You said that by mistake, but
We
it
could
actually
make that
almost
change.
it makes as much sense. Think about it,
Hey,
Dave. A
It
landmark
should be flutterby.
is a manlark.
Doesn't
like-
flutterby make more sense than butterfly?
That's true too.
It flutters by, doesn't it?
I feel like there should be smoke coming up on our screens right now. David, any questions for Gene?
I don't know. I've always hoped to like see a UFO, but after hearing about all the radiation poisoning stuff, I'm not sure I want to see one now.
No, I have an agreement with them. I'll write books like Unknown Objects, the top 10 U.S. UFO cases available on Amazon, and I will do newscasts and I will report the truths as I can find them. I'm a light worker, number 111. Thank you very much. But I don't want to see them. I don't need to see them. I know they're there. I know my government knows they're there, more importantly. What mystifies me is the new spin on the decades-old cover-up of you must be crazy to believe that UFOs exist. You must be crazy to believe in UFOs. I've maintained for a long time that the UFO phenomenon is not a matter of belief or faith. It's a matter of facts. And so I go for the facts, and the facts are being obscured by the federal government. However, what's interesting is now the Pentagon and its other intelligence service related branches and agencies have decided so many people know that UFOs exist and take it for granted. Basically, there's no panic about it, particularly. It's in the culture. I think they've done polls and surveys. So the reasoning in the 1950s to cover up UFOs that there would be mass panic and would topple world religions, it has some validity today, but I think much, much less. People are nonplussed by the idea that there are UFOs. What's amusing to me still, and yet maddening at the same time, is that the US military and other militaries around the world have the gall and the presumption to presume that forces beyond our control, which have been fairly benign on the whole, a few human abductions beside, and
You almost said anal
mutilations
probes
as well,
You almost
yeah,
said
well,
anal
what's an anal
probe.
probe amongst
Sorry.
friends? It's for
Sorry.
science. What do we do to seals and animals we track? You just think about bears. We put tags through their bodies and stuff, their ears, and I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that the government has decided, instead of calling people crazy for believing in UFOs, they said, well, they actually do exist. We have them on FLIR, forward-looking infrared radar. We have them on FLIR imaging. We have bona fide documentation from sworn to uphold the Constitution, military service people. And now the government's posture is, we want those people to come out and whistleblow on what they've seen, implying or stating directly that their pensions, their futures, their reputations will not be besmirched and taken away. They won't be silenced or canceled. They won't be part of this cancel culture that really started with enemies of national security as deemed by the CIA, those whistleblowers who are saying that, who oppose the official narrative, no matter what it is. This narrative was that UFOs do exist. That narrative started right after World War II. And now we're being told, as of just a few years ago, 2020, the Pentagon came out and said, yeah, those TikTok videos, they're real, they're military. We have declassified them so everybody can take a good long look. And you hear the pilots going, oh, but Jesus, what is that? oh, holy freak. Never seen anything like that. So we know they're not from around here. So where are they from? That's what we don't know.
Can I leave you with this? This is what I want to ask. I guess is my last question. So am I to believe that neither of you have seen a UFO?
Well, I didn't say that.
Have either of you then? Let me rephrase my first phrase. Have either of you seen a UFO? Gene, have you? Dave?
I have
I
every reason to
personally have
believe
not.
I have, but I believe I have a screen memory blocking it. And I believe it happened when I was before I was talking. So
But
age
you're not
3, 4.
100%. But you're not 100% on it. Okay, I'm like,
Exactly.
you're like, oh,
It's more
Dave,
intuitive knowledge than empirical knowledge. Okay?
Dave, did
the
you?
feeling I have.
I have not, but my high school chemistry teacher claimed that he was an alien. Mr. Law, God bless his soul. Hope he's resting in peace. But he made an interesting argument that aliens do exist and they're out there. They said that the elements that make up the Earth are a constant throughout the universe. So they exist everywhere. And this combination or one similar to it has to exist somewhere out there, and that can support some kind of life that's similar to us.
I find it extremely bizarre that I'm the only one out of the three of us that's actually seen a UFO. Because I am not joking when I say I saw, without a doubt, something that would be considered a UFO. And I have three people, well, two and a half, let's say, because you count some people, 2.5 people that have the same exact story and memory of what happened. Lincoln Woods, located in Rhode Island. Like 17, 18, back in the day, you'd grab a bunch of natural light beers and you head off into the woods and you and some girls and you go hang out. I mean, I don't got to spell it out for you guys. Do I got to spell it out? Do I need to?
In the summertime.
So, anyways,
Never.
we come around the corner walking, and it's a true story. All of a sudden, there's something above us, and it's above us. There's no doubt there's something above us, and there's 3 lights and then 1 light, and I just remember we just all stopped, and it was like one of those what the moments, but no one said a word, and it just kind of made like a humming sound. And here's the thing: if that would have just stayed like that, I think we would have just started walking again. But the whole thing went whoop and was gone. And when that left, that's what freaked me out, because the way it left, I saw it leave. It was dark, but I could still see the whole thing above me move and leave the way it did. And we never told anybody, none of us. We kept it to ourselves. I never told a single soul. And then, I remember, years later, having drinks with a guy, and he's like, "You remember that time?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Why didn't we tell anybody?" And we're like, "I don't know. Just never brought it up." See, this paranormal stuff, the more I get into it, the more I'm realizing.
Well, that's a crazy story, but dig this. Kurt Russell was flying with his son as the passenger westbound in Kurt Russell's private jet, small one, I think. I don't know much about private jets, but they were flying into Sky Harbor, which is Phoenix, Arizona, and it was the night of the Phoenix Lights, which is one of the chapters, in fact, the last chapter, chapter 10 of my book, Unknown Objects, the Top 10 U.S. UFO Cases. So flying in, his son noticed this strange light. He said, "This light doesn't seem to be where it belongs, or there is a light where no light should be." And so Kurt radioed the tower at Sky Harbor and was informed there should be no light there. And there was. So they landed and forgot all about it until years later. Kurt walked in when his wife Goldie Hawn was watching a special on television about UFOs, and they mentioned that a pilot flying into Sky Harbor that night had radioed the tower about it, and they had the call number off his plane, the ID number off his plane, and they read it off on that show. And he recognized, it's like your social security number if you're a pilot, or your date of birth. You know what it is. And he had probably been listening with half an ear. He said he lingered in the doorway watching. And when they read off the number of his airplane, the ID number, he went, "Holy smokes, that's my airplane." And then it all came back to him. the whole memory of everything that had happened. He had just conveniently forgotten it. And you asked me, have I seen a UFO? I think I have conveniently forgotten rather frightening experiences that I had as a toddler. And there are many documented cases where people who've gone through regressive hypnosis remember or claim they remember when they were, before they could speak, that they had been abducted and things had happened to them on ships. So I think I was abducted and things happened to me on a ship. And the things that happened were more like testing and not so much like anal probing. Okay.
Well-
but it was terrifying being taken from my home into this strange place with other beings, right? And it happened more than once. I think there was something that might be an indoctrination. So that's
Okay.
my impression.
Gene, I'm gonna have to let you go. I gotta get to Buddy's Paranormal Sports. I don't know what that means, but we appreciate you stopping by as always. Everyone, Jeff Eugene Broider. Thank you so
Always
much.
a pleasure. Can't wait to hear those sports.
And there she goes. Now, how do you follow up Kurt Russell? I mean, that's a tough guy to follow up right there. Now, here's my question though to you, Dave. Favorite Kurt Russell movie, and is Kurt Russell funnier than Goldie Hawn?
Let's see, Kurt Russell, Big Trouble in Little China,
Bang.
and I think he's definitely had some entertaining moments. He's had some pretty good roles. I don't know, Jack Burton. I just love that character, that movie.
Goldie Hawn is one of. All right, this is gonna make me sound awful, like an awful person again. But my list of female comedians isn't as large as male comedians, and I think it's just because I don't relate because of what I just said. So, but Goldie Hawn made me laugh all the time. She's somebody who transcended whoever she was. She just was funny. Now, Kurt Russell, let's be honest. Me and you were both a little jealous because he's so goddamn handsome. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, how do you get those genes? How do you have hair that goes like that in Big Trouble in Little China? How do you get the look like that, Dave?
Aliens.
I don't like it. I don't think it's fair. I'll be honest. I don't think it's fair. We got to go to Buddy's Sports. I'll be honest. I'm terrified. The thing is with Buddy Money there, you never know what you're gonna get, and sometimes those things are good, sometimes those things are disturbing. But here's Buddy Money there with the Paranormal Sports. Let's see if I can share this. Can you guys see this? Is this up on the screen? Can you see Buddy's face?
It's there.
Can anybody see Buddy?
I can see Buddy.
Unique New York. Unique New York. Unique New York. Ow now, brown cow. Ow now, brown cow. Ow now. Oh, we're live. Oh, hey guys, how you doing in studio? This is Buddy Money Thea reporting live to you from Queen City, which is Cincinnati, Ohio, where quite the paranormal scene has been happening in recent sporting news. Not just recent sporting news, but sporting news in Cincinnati from, I'm gonna take this thing out, it's killing me, from a long time ago. Something that's so catastrophic paranormally that it hasn't piqued the attention of local news networks. And I thought, what would make a better inaugural story for me as local newsman, Buddy Money Thea, then a lovely piece about some of the recent things and not some of the not so recent things that have been happening in paranormal and sporting news in the Queen City, like I said, Cincinnati, Ohio. Don't mind my dog who's barking at the local Bengals fans as they walk by. Now, calling Bills safety Damar Hamlin's injury on Monday Night Football scary is an understatement. It's scary as any horror movie that I've ever seen. Hamlin's, who has made almost a complete recovery, remained several days sedated on a ventilator in critical condition at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center after collapsing on the field after a routine tackle in the first quarter of a highly anticipated Bengals and Bills game. His uncle Dorian Glenn said that in an interview with this reporter that his nephew was resuscitated not once but twice, once on the field and then once again at the hospital and brought back to life after dying. What happened here is seldom seen in any professional sports setting, especially this country's most popular
Mike, you're on mute again.
Dave, first off, he talked so slow that I felt like he was falling asleep as he gave the sports. That was 4 minutes of sports in 8 minutes. Do you agree?
I do.
Okay. Now, what do you think the problem was with names? I mean, first off, he wasn't getting the names even close to correct, and then he had to repeat them incorrectly multiple times. What do you think that's all about, Dave?
Do you think he had a few of those tasty Barfangoul or legit paranormal brews before he did the sports cast?
I think now we're on the same page. That was Buddy Money there with sports. I'm going to bring in Gene so we can do a little wrap-up read here. Gene, before we wrap it up for the news, is there anything you'd like to say or add, plug, etc., etc.?
Well, you know me, I always want to plug my book on Amazon, Unknown Objects, the top 10. Not a top 10, the top 10 U.S. UFO cases. Starts with Foo Fighters after World War I and goes chronologically forward to Kurt Russell flying into Phoenix, Sky Harbor, and lots of other people, including the governor of Arizona, seeing many UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them. Okay. Keep looking up. We've got a green comet streaking by in other astronomical news, stargazers. A rare green comet is going to be visible mostly near dawn, but for some short period of time, pretty soon here now, after sunset. Usually comets are better visible before sunrise. So if you're a morning person, spring up and see that. I think it's naked eye, visible with the naked eye. Having a telescope or binoculars would make it even that more up close and personal.
You know, it would make it better, Gene, if it was like around 2 o'clock.
I know, in the afternoon.
I'd like to see the comet, but I'm not getting it up for a comet. There is no... First off, the word comet...
I am that geek.
The word comet is burned. It's burned in my head because I heard a girl write her own original song at a talent show that I was in, and the song lyrics were "Comet, comet, comfort me," but the way she sang it was like "Comet, comet, comfort me," and at the time, and for like 10 years on, I thought that was the worst song I've ever heard in my life. Like, I've always referred to that as the worst song I've ever heard in my life, right? Now, cut to me being really old. They already know. I sing it all the time. It's like the catchiest tune I've ever heard in my life. Like, I want to find this woman now and be like, you know what? That's a really good song. You got to do a little Timbaland beat underneath it, and we can work this out. Dave, you know what I mean.
I do. Maybe we should get a State of Corruption cover of the song.
Yeah, that's no. I'm afraid that won't happen.
I do have to say the green comet freaks me out because, we're talking Big Trouble in Little China and like 80s movies, Maximum Overdrive. Green comet makes like the trucks and jukeboxes and stuff come to life and they attack the humans.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that's not our disaster for 2023.
Yeah, but that would be fun. Like, I don't know, that'd be a kicker. That'd be something different, right? A comet coming and then like all this stuff starts to happen. I mean,
okay, so here's the inside skinny. Comet C/2022 E3 ZTF, whatever that means, will make its closest approach to Earth on February 1st. How hard is that to remember? February 1st, people. 2123. For all you numerologists on 2123 and Gregorian, this comet will be closest to Earth, and it might be possible to spot it with the naked eye. There's all kinds of resources to check this out, including, and it tells you, what is a green comet? Well, it has to do with the chemicals in the comet, right? Can I see it with the naked eye? And they give the magnitude and all the geeky stuff. So it depends on your eyesight, doesn't it?
Okay. So I also have a fear of the month of February.
Well, you're
No, now
you're SOL, my friend.
No,
for
listen to me.
1/12 of the year or thereabouts.
this is a God's. It's the total truth. You can ask my wife, ask everyone that's in my family, people I'm involved with. Every car accident where I've almost died. Every time anything that's ever happened to me that's really bad. First time I got my nose broken. All the stuff. Lost college. Everything I've ever really had bad happen. Announcement about my dad. Everything in the month of February. My whole life.
Well, I get it
stay
now.
in the house during February. You don't
Okay,
see
well-
me go out. I act like the month doesn't exist. All I do is do push-ups, work, hang out with the family. February is my month of I stay in the basement. I don't come out of the basement. I don't mess with February. I leave it alone. It's an abysmal, dark month to begin with.
Okay,
And
well,
I don't
for the
need a
rest
green
of us,
comet, Gene. I don't need a green comet coming on the 1st. Doesn't make me feel any better about the month of February now.
okay,
now
well,
I gotta start
just
talking
don't
about a green
listen.
comet.
Don't listen to this. And for the rest of us, between mid-January and mid-February, the green comet, not to be confused with the green hornet, the green comet will travel a little bit every day across the starry background of the night sky. The best chance to see it will be when it is at its closest to Earth. When? February 1st. You didn't hear that. Around this time, the comet will be traveling through a faint constellation of stars called Camelopardalis.
Camelopardalis. That's a long name.
Very good.
Dave,
It
let
is
me
a
ask you
long
this.
name.
Would
And there'll
you
be a bright waxing gibbous moon, making it more difficult to see the comet. Darn that moon.
Dave, you believe it's more Green Lantern stuff or more like gamma radiation Hulk type stuff?
Do you remember
And
like
in
this?
the comic.
I like both. I like DC and Marvel. Those are two of my favorite characters.
Wasn't the theme of the Green
But because
Hornet the
this is a
flight of the
comic, I'm
bumblebee?
gonna have to go with Green Lantern.
Wasn't the theme song of the Green Hornet the song "The Flight of the Bumblebees"?
Gene,
Remember
I
that
was
one?
Gene. I was not told in the pre-meeting there would be any trivia.
Music trivia.
Yes, no, I believe that the green stuff is gamma radiation. Because
Okay.
as much as I like Green Lantern, and I think he's been underwritten, underplayed, underused, he has such amazing abilities.
Word.
We won't get to they have ruined the Hulk. I'm going to do a rant here for a second because you know what? I didn't give a story. We ran out of time, so I'm just going to do a quick little rant here. They have done such a horrible job of portraying the Incredible Hulk in these Marvel movies that I want to lose my mind and reshave my head. And by the way, my hair all grew back, and it was like, now I got to take care of it. I don't like it. So, the Hulk, they've ruined him. They've made him that part banner, part whatever. The best part about the Hulk is what? He's the strongest there is. Why? Because the madder he gets, the stronger he gets. And then the question's always asked, well, what's his limit? And everyone who really knows should say he never has reached a full limit. He can keep getting angrier and stronger. Now, you put Mark Ruffalo in there, and he's like the friendly yoga Hulk. It's like, what does that got to do with the Incredible Hulk? He's supposed to be incredible, and he's supposed to be like running around and smashing stuff. Hulk smash. Hulk smash. Like, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Someone tell me I'm wrong. Is the Hulk not lovable now? Why is the Hulk lovable?
I support you 1,000% on that, Mike. They butchered Planet Hulk, and they really need to do a World War Hulk movie and just let him smash everything.
Yep, they made the Inhumans. Now you can grab Black Bolt and just crush them all. I'm sorry, Gene. We just went on a comic.
That is
No,
angry
this is
as hell.
fabulous. Who would you
The Hulk
cast?
took a blast
Who would
from
you
Black
guys
Bolt.
cast as the Hulk? Who's going to play?
new Hulk?
Is David Banner, right? Doesn't David Banner turn into the Hulk?
As the new Hulk.
Yeah. Who's your Optimum?
So it would have to be somebody that's not famous.
Okay.
So I haven't seen him yet. How about that? Because
Fine. Yeah.
what they're
unknown
doing wrong.
out of nowhere. Cinderella story.
But what they're doing wrong is they keep casting people that as I watch them, I say, oh, that's so-and-so. I don't connect with the character because I know the actor too much. So what I'm hearing is in DC, Jason Momoa is now moving to Lobo, and they're trying to get Chris Pratt to come over and take over Aquaman. All the characters are being recast in DC. The Rock's in a lawsuit with DC because he just got done with his old Black Adam movie. He had the Henry Cavill Superman come in, and is it James Gunn, whoever the guy was with Suicide Squad?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
He now has total control, and he's recasting everybody, and nobody's happy because like The Rock had so much invested in post invested that's now going to get scrapped. So that's my rant. That's all I got to say. That's it. That was quick. Before we go, we sign off. We're all going to sign off, and then I promise to show a friend of mine did about 3 minutes and 45 seconds of stand up recently. Didn't go very well, but I'm still going to show it because I support my friends here at legitpodcast.com. So any final quick words, Gene?
I am entered, speaking of bingo, I won bingo Sunday night. I'm entered into a drawing tomorrow for $2,000. So beam that lucky green energy toward me, if you please. If you think I'm worthy of winning $2,000 to share with my close personal friends and others.
What I've learned is this. Here's my problem. When I bet on the games, I lose. If I don't bet money on the games, I usually pick them right.
So bet on the other guys.
Because I'm not getting the money, I can help
bet
you
on the other ones.
Dave, what do you got?
Pay attention to your dreams. We've established that precognition exists. That at least a third of the population can dream the future. Use that to your advantage.
Okay. Also, I'd like to tell you that we here at legitpodcast.com, we have all of our shows streaming live on our website, legitpodcast.com. You can go there and check out the schedule. Tomorrow night, we have Legit Paranormal Clips at 8:05. But there has been, I want to say working hard, but we just saw what he was doing, and I can't say the words working hard with a straight face. But he's been working hard, putting together video clips that I have to go over tomorrow to finalize for our show tomorrow night. That show has been phenomenal. People have come on. We've debated what they're seeing, but in a fun way, and it's been a fun way to see people's proof, evidence, what have you. That's it for us, guys. I'm going to leave us with this, my friend doing stand-up. Let's see how he does. So, for Jet Fuel, Gene Barta, Dreamy David Barr, it is me, Mike Lepre. This is Legit Paranormal News. I am signing off. David, any last words?
Dream well, everybody. That's legit.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage, Fran, the fireman!
How are ya? Thanks, everybody. Thanks. It's swell to be here. This is my first time ever getting up here and telling jokes. Yeah, would you believe it? I won't believe it. It's crazy. I'll never tell a joke before, but here goes. Okay, what's the stupidest animal in the jungle? A polar bear. Anyone? How long is a Chinese name? You get it? Anyone? Hello? What's the difference between a dirty bus stop and a lobster with breast implants? One's a crusty bus station and the other is a busty crustacean. Crusty bus station and the other's a busty. Anybody? What kind of bagel can fly? A plain bagel. Nothing? A toothless termite walks into a pub and he asked, "Is the bartender here?" Anyone? My grandfather had a heart of a lion and a lifetime ban from the Roger Williams Zoo. What's clear and smells like paint? Chloroform. Did you hear about the one, about the two antennas that got married? It was a nice ceremony. But the reception was amazing! So you're gonna have to stay off the stage, all right? Okay, I got a couple more. The swell jokes. I know you're holding your laughter in. I don't mind. A mom walks into a zoo. Did I just say a mom? My bad. A man walks into a zoo, and the only animal in the entire zoo is a dog. It was a Shih Tzu. Sir, would you please stay where you're supposed to stay? All right, last joke. I know maybe you'll laugh later on the ride home. I don't mind. Hey, laugh when you want to laugh. You know how. Last joke. And the Lord said unto John, come forth, and you will receive eternal life. But John came 50 and got a toaster. I'm Fran, the fireman. I think that's clever. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Which way do I